G'day my friends and welcome to Marty's Garden. I'm here on YouTube live this morning. It's 10:35 a.m. here, Sydney, Australia time, and it's wet and rainy. I had to work outside in my wet weather gear this morning at my part-time job at the crossing. It was not fun, but we rushed, we got here, and everything's ready for today. I've got my list here. We're going to be talking about the future of Marty's Garden coming into this new season, this new spring, summer season, about getting self-sufficient and, building soil, saving money, growing fresh food, living healthier, all that great stuff, and building something that's better for you and for the environment, and why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And we'll sort of discuss it and create a conversation and things like that. And it's exciting to be back here. Look, it's been a rough time. Like, we had full-on drought, and then we went into hardcore floods and rains, and look, it's been depressing for a lot of people around sort of the mid-north coast and upwards, even like some parts down past Sydney and things like that. And the east coast has just been getting hammered, some places worse than others. So it's a bit depressing when we get a bit of rain, but try and bring some joy into the show today and have a bit of a chat. And say good day to some crew as they roll on in. Good morning, Catherine. Lovely to see you. Now, today is not normally a day that I produce live shows, but I thought, hey, why not? Let's get into it, have a bit of fun and share some of the story that's coming up here for Marty's Gardens. As you know, we've moved place. I'm in my bedroom now. I don't have the studio running in anything anymore, but still running from the same, still me here, but in a better space. The light shining through the back window here is out in the backyard where I'm creating my self-sufficient space. Who knows, we may even get back into some farming again at some stage. So, welcome, Shers Worm Culture and Green Living. Lovely to see you here. And Julie dropped down and saw me when I was living down the mid-north coast. Bought some compost and even, been some great support. So thanks, Julie. Lovely to see you here. And because we're coming on a bit later than normal, I think mostly a lot of Aussies or people that are sort of like night owls will be here for the show today. And, I think it's really important to sort of discuss the future of the way that I'm moving. And I think that the way is sort of like everything's evolving and changing at the moment because we're under a lot of pressure. I know that interest rates have been rising here in Australia, so that's put a lot of people under pressure, a lot more so, and they're seeking answers and ways to look at possibly save some money. And, I think every sort of cent can really make a big difference actually right at this time and going into the future, these uncertain times, without putting any doom and gloom perspective on it. But, we can take control and grab hold of our future as well. And I intend on doing that in my space, for a few reasons. Obviously, I do want to save money. I enjoy the health benefits. I really enjoy. And also just knowing that I've created something, I've grown it, and then turning it into a meal at home. It's wonderful. And, the first goal is to sort of get 30% of my food out of this yard onto my plate, and we're not that far off achieving that actually. We've just the very small volume that we've got coming out at the moment. Well, not small volume, but the small space that I'm using. So again, welcome all. Jamie M, hello from New York, USA, and Barry Waller. Great to see you all here, guys. And always wonderful. Now, new people are coming in. I'm getting a few new subscribers coming in because they're interested in the self-sufficient side of things, which is really awesome. Now, I notice when they come into the live shows, I get more unsubscribers than subscribers, basically. So it's scary for me to do live shows sometimes, but, it's just about connecting. And, the new future for Marty's Garden here in my channel isn't so much about the YouTube algorithm and keeping everyone happy in that regard. It's more about myself sharing my story here, my knowledge here. As an agricultural horticulturist, decades now I've been doing this, helping for myself and for other people. And, if you've been following the channel, I make my own compost and, worm farming and all that sort of stuff. And it's all about, the worm farming and the composting, it's all about soils, right? So I follow this mantra: feed the soils, not your plants. And that way you get best optimum result. And then once you do that, then you learn about habitat and companion planting and all those things to keep your pests and everything down. So look, if you've come into the live show, this is not what you're going to see through the week in my videos and things like that. So don't just go, oh, this guy sucks, and unsubscribe. You're going to get different stuff coming through, and and we get a chance to connect. So either way, if it's not for you, yeah, probably better off not staying around and maybe unsubscribe. But if you're really digging what the content's coming out and you'd like to connect with my community, then yeah, it's great to see you here. So yeah, unreal. And Jamie M, I think it's refreshing to grow a garden, and I've enjoyed it. Well, thank you so much, Catherine Kelly. Nothing better than picking your dinner straight from the garden and eating it. I 100% agree, and I've been going hard on my lettuce bales outside. Looking forward to some tomatoes and things soon, but it's so wet and cold. We get a few nice days, and I'm getting some little cherry tomatoes popping up now, but nothing that I would really like. Like, we need these sort of 23, 24 degree days where things start really happening. So Jamie M, I'm subscribed and I've liked this live. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you get a chance, click the live button, because it helps the algorithm, and it lets more people know that I am live, and just shows that the video is popular. I guess it's one of those little algorithm things that they run through. That does help me. I just enjoyed green beans from our garden. Easy to grow. Oh man, yeah, awesome. I'm going to grow some of those long ones, the long ones that they grow in Asia and stuff like that I saw in Thailand a lot. I've never grown them before. Long beans, I think they're called. And yeah, I'm going to get some of them up against the fence. They just look unreal. And Baker Perkins, thank you. Nice, thanks for coming here. And Catherine, first time actually catching a live, so pleased to join you. Well, cheers to that. I've got my Coca-Cola cup. I've actually got Coca-Cola in it today because I need a bit of caffeine. So excuse me for a second while I have the odd sip here and there. Just trying to sort of perk up a bit. I had a bit of a rough sleep, woke up a bit early. And yeah, welcome. Marty's Compost, the best. Well, thank you very much, Julie. It was very popular, and who knows, we may bring it back if I find the time. It's very time consuming, and it's hard work, but we may bring it back in the future if I get some hands helping me. And who knows, channel might have some growth and things like that, and I can actually afford to one day to get someone to come and help. Then who knows what would happen then, right? Thumbs up, everyone. Thank you very much. And yes, we are getting some thumbs up here. Bang, 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 bang. I love that. And I just want to thank everyone for that. And so we will give the artificial applause for the day. Now, that is my fake crowd that hangs in the background there. If you're watching the live shows, you know that I can sporadically let off the applause. Now, I do want to bring up something that I don't very rarely mention. Well, I haven't mentioned lately. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and that actually, people can go over there and support me, and then they can join the membership and things there. And I've just put on, so we'll go to the page here, and I'll give you guys a look at this. There it is there. It's by Omelette. It's a chicken fence, and I'm very interested in getting one of these now. I've put a lot of money into this yard so far, running a bit out of cash, so I'm going to ask for a little bit of support. If people can head over to my Buy Me a Coffee page there, and I'm going to get this chicken fence for my girls, so we can keep them a bit safer, and I can actually move them around the yard more efficiently, and keep them out of the veggie patch too. They're really great. They've been laying eggs for me every day. I will have more content about them coming up. I love my girls, but I haven't been able to get their fence. I'm thinking, oh man, I need to ask. Sometimes need to ask to find out, right? So there'll be a link later on if you're watching the rerun down in the comments area, not the comments area, down in the description, and also in the chat box at the top. I've pinned it there. So if you can, I really appreciate it, guys. That would be a big help to get the girls fenced off and running things more efficiently. I'd like to actually open it up so we can run them into a composting area, move the fences around so we can put them around fruit trees when we want them to clean up the fruit underneath the trees and things like that to keep away fruit fly. Keep them away from attacking the veggie patch, because it's time consuming looking out the window all the time going, where are they? Where are they? Are they in my lettuce? Like that sort of thing. Creates a bit of anxiety. So I think we'll get there eventually. But anyway, that's where I'm at the moment. I really need a chicken fence pretty bad. But we'll just keep moving along and keep enjoying this show. For now, I just need to get back onto my camera here. And boom, there I am. So thanks everyone for coming in. If you come in a little bit late, talking about what's coming up sort of on the channel, and we're discussing sort of building soil, self-sufficiency, how I'm doing it with worm farming and chickens combined, and why I'm doing it like that, and how possibly you can sort of implement it too. So if you've got any questions about that, happy to fire away pretty much straight away on that, and answer anything that you may have. Swap you a coffee for a bag for Marty's compost. I wish I had some compost out there, mate. It's, like I said, hard work, and it's having a bit of a break from it. Who knows? I'm building up my compost worms again, the population starting from 2000, and we've got some spots happening around the yard. We're getting good growth. They're laying lots of cocoons and things like that. So if I can get the compost worms up and going, who knows? We may end up doing some every now and again and just have like a run, and then once it's finished, it's done. Maybe one a year or something like that. And where it makes it more, I can actually do it without having to sort of like, how do I say, take up too much of my time. Really want to be really focused on the channel and getting more self-sufficient. We've been planting some fruit trees as well in the yard. So that's really cool. And the reason why I'm planting fruit trees early is because I want to have those perennial crops up and growing. So I plant them once, I take care of them, and they produce food over and over. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to getting some fruit from. Just put them in the ground. I will show you in the videos coming up in the near future how they're going. And that'll be a part. The chickens will play a huge part in the fruit tree growth into the future, and keeping fruit flight down and pests and things like that. So Jamie M, I had really great luck with chicken and rabbit manure this season. But at the end of the season in my area, I had loads of tomatoes, peppers, pumpkins and squash. Well, you got to love that. Thanks for sharing that, Jamie M. That's really great. Chicken and rabbit manure, I've heard. I've never used rabbit manure myself, but a friend of mine, he has rabbits, and we got him into using the rabbit manure underneath, putting worm farms underneath the rabbits, and they drop through and the worms eat it up and they turn into a casting, and then voila, we have rabbit worm castings. So that works pretty good. G'day Rick, nice to see you here, mate. Welcome to the show. Thanks for popping in for the live. As I said, I don't normally do these 10:30 ones. I'm normally a bit later, but I'm working at the school this morning in the rain, in my wet weather gear. Ran in, quick shower, got things together, and we're here. So what inspired me this morning to think about running a live show is because, like YouTube is getting really more difficult all the time. And in some ways it's good because the content, the style of content has gotten much better. It's even closer to TV. You can sort of choose what you want to watch, within more reason, because the YouTube algorithm will show you exactly what you believe that you like to watch. And then it gives out about 10% of my subscribers out to the list generally comes in roundabout. So it's not too bad. But if I was to type in something like how to grow tomatoes, you may not get that, and it might not sort of match up with my channel algorithm of my keywords and things. So things have gotten really weird. And I just thought, you know what? I'm so tired of that game. All I want to do is just tell my story, put it out there, and as I'm building and growing and expanding out, share how I'm doing that and my knowledge. I've done a few small spaces over time. This is the biggest one that I've done for myself. And because this is more of a permanent space, I can really, really go for it. And so there's going to be, a lot coming out. Now, the first thing I'm doing is improving the soils here. I've got heavy clay soils, like really heavy, not just like a light loam clay. We're talking, you hit the matic in it and it's doing almost. I get down about that deep. The funny thing is the chickens nearly get their heads chopped off when they're hanging around because I'm there with a matic and they're grabbing the worms. But it's good to see that there's, some worms and things in the profile. And so I'm throwing down different materials to improve that. Now, I've got a video coming out on Sunday showing you what's in my truck. And I think you'll possibly like that, and showing you what I'm using to around here to get more self-sufficient and to improve my soils. Now, one way that what you need to do when you're improving soils is you need to build a deep structure. And, some people in Australia be going, well, why do you want to save water? Well, when you have a good soil, it stores water really well. But some parts of the East Coast will be going, get rid of the water. We're sick of the floods. But you've got to always be thinking in advance, right? It's not always going to be like this. And when you've got good drainage, that water will get away and will store in the soil. So when you get a lot of rain and it's not flooding and it's not going through the clay, it's going to store in the soil bank. And then one day when we get some dry times, it's going to be a lot of water in that subsoil and the trees can get down to it. And then if we've got a deeper, more friable soil, the roots can get down further. We've got more microbiome activity going on instead of being in the shallow parts of the soil profile. So as we build our soils up and they get better and better by just adding on top of them, we're not only building up these biohighways for worms and microbes and millipedes and all these different things that keep our plants growing and alive. We're also, storing water for a long time ahead. And then if we do get into droughts like they have in the USA and things like that at the moment, and parts in the north of the planet, when we do get rain, we're going to store water more efficiently. So you won't have to get out and be hitting it with the hose all the time and things like that. With always thinking sort of in a permaculture mindset. So I use basically, I learned or studied organics, and that was, even before, like permaculture was just starting to get known about online then. So I studied organic farming and, worked on a few different majors sort of in that. And I actually entered something, what do you call it? I did a thesis on micro farming, and I did really well with that because I hadn't seen much of it. And I believed that was the future. So it's sort of been heading that way, Anyway, let's see what else we've got here coming through. Jamie M. Rabbit manure doesn't burn the plants. Slow release nitrogen. Love the idea of worms under. Yeah, you can just get it out and feed it. I think you just got to be a bit careful, like with you still need to mix some type of carbon with it, with that, and any of the manures really. Hey Marty, hope all is well. I have the issues too with my chickens getting into my garden beds. Yeah. I want to release them into the garden beds when I want them in there. So after I've done a big harvest, like I'm ready to sort of replant again, I can let them get in there and do all their things, clean up all the scraps and mess and whatever there, and then close them off again, put them in where I want to fence them, even fence them out in the front yard, because I'm going to put some fruit trees out in the front yard for the neighbours to come in and grab fruit. Or if they ask me, can we grab some lemons or something like that, or some papaya, go help yourself. So yeah, just like a community thing, So I might be able to fence them out the front as well if there's no dogs around. Bendigo fruit trees. Love watching yourself in a new place. Look forward to the positive changes you make. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And like I said, I'm not worried about this whole YouTube thing, who shares this, what, there, and keywords and different things and all that. I'm just producing this, this content. I know what I'm doing next, what I'm up to next, why I'm using it and why, and try and get it to you guys. Like sometimes it just won't share it in front of you. So occasionally I recommend you just jump on my channel and have a look in case you've missed something and you want to get updated, because it won't always share everything with you. Some people on this channel mostly just come for worm farming, and they won't get the other keywords and things if I say why I'm growing tomatoes to become more self-sufficient or something like that. So yeah, keep an eye on it because it's all intertwined. Like I'm using the worm farming and the good soil productions and the chickens and things to grow these tomatoes and use everything, and keep my inputs from outside as low as possible if I can. Obviously, for a while, I'm going to have to bring inputs from outside because we're still a fair way away from it. YouTube search as a joke refers me to so many off-topic vids. Who can do that? Yeah, you would be a great neighbour to live next to. Thanks for all your hard work, mate. It's your boy. No worries, man. Thank you very much for dropping in. Now I've got to make sure I've got my list here, so I don't want to get too much off topic because that's easy to do in a live show. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why I'm doing it. So one of the main reasons why I'm doing it right this very moment is because, we need to find, when we're budgeting, we look at ways to cut costs, right? But when you cut costs sometimes in your food, we go and buy cheaper stuff. And it's just, when we do that, we're going down in our food quality as well. And I think, that really bothers me. I don't really want to be going down in food quality. I'm very low. I'm on a very low income anyway. So I'm careful about what I buy and eat and things like that. We buy organic soy milk or organic milk and try and buy grass-fed mince and beef when we can and things like that, and try and eat more quality food. We've got the organic eggs coming out, the microgreens and the leafy greens, things like that. So I feel my diet's still fairly good. But, we can keep improving that by being able to collect fruits and mulberries and, more leafy greens and start looking at how we make these recipes and stuff and putting them together. Just simple things like, example, at the moment I've got lettuce and the cherry tomatoes are coming on. So I've got to grow some more rocket. So I make a lettuce, rocket, cherry tomatoes, and maybe just put a little bit of cheese in with it. I've got a little salad that I can make and cook something, put it on the side. So then I've got that 30% that I want to have on my plate. So we're pretty much there. Like the other day, Karen and I were eating some eggs with some microgreens and salads. And I just said, Karen, the only thing that cost us here, other than our inputs from coming in, I said, is the toast. And I was just like, yes, we're back, baby. Because I've done that a few times before, right? With chickens and microgreens and salads. And so, it's an interesting time because I can actually, when I've got the fruit, I'm harvesting some fruit, I'm getting some eggs, I'm getting some salads and some greens. And I've gone, hang on, today all I've done is I've thrown some lentils, or I've got some pasta or some rice, or I've got some meat or something to add in there. And it's saved a lot of food. So people think that getting more self-sufficient is of this massive job. I was searching some stuff online about it, and people are like, how much acreage do you need to get self-sufficient? All this stuff, and people typing in 2 to 15 acres, they say in America, and all this stuff. But really, you can just get more and more extreme. You go, okay, well, I need to have solar now. I need to be off grid. I need to be like this and this. And all of a sudden, you've just created this world around you, and it could become too overwhelming because you just weren't ready for it. You'd never done it before. So I think just by adding little bits at a time and getting better and better at it, and getting to where your balance, where you're happy is right at that time. It could just be growing some tomatoes, some salad, some cucumbers, and a few things, and you've got that little bit extra going on your plate, and that's enough. So you are becoming more self-sufficient, cost-efficient, and getting better quality food onto your plate. And I think that's really important. And the money saving thing, because I'm walking into my shops today just going $12 for a kilo of tomatoes, $9 for capsicum, a kilo. I'm just going, no way, I can grow that. So anyway, are the Bunnings worm castings as good as worm castings you can make yourself? Where's your hat, mate? Oh, the hat's floating around somewhere. I use it from time to time. But, I'm a bit over the hat. I just wear it now if it's sunny, and so I want to keep the sun off my face. But, it does have a good story about it. But the Bunnings worm castings, I haven't tested them, so I can't say. Usually what's happening in people that are commercial worm farming is they're using cow manure most of the time. and that makes a pretty good worm casting. So if they're just using cow manure and carbon, you would get a pretty good worm casting. I just don't know, like, lots of microbes in it. I just don't know, like, how it would go because I haven't really tried it. Like my worm casting to my compost was really broad, right? Everything from cow, mushroom compost, and then coffee grounds, and also the carbon that I would get from the people that were, cutting the trees in the streets and stuff like that. So lots of different leaves and twigs and sticks from different places. So more variation in that. So really hard to say. Pretty hard to beat what I make because I just more inputs. And once you start really scaling up, it's hard to get all those inputs into something like that. But I do talk about on Sunday, the video that's coming out, the compost that I recommend if you're living in Australia. So hang around to watch that on Sunday, what's in my truck. That's what I use when I can't make my own compost at times. So hopefully I haven't just overkilled that question. But yeah, geez, trying to do my best. Canning, preserving was what our parents did in 1950s and 60s. Yeah, I think that homesteading side of things, I'm not really that good on that. Tried some dehydrating. I owned a little dehydrator, and I used to dehydrate different things from the garden out of that, and I found that was really quite good. But I'd like to have a solar one next time, not have to switch on the power. Maybe a solar one would work much better, just so you just saving money and not increasing the power bill. And I think that's a really good way to go. Like in certain countries, like Asia and stuff like that, they don't do it so much because they've got a similar season right through the whole year. Where in Western countries, we've got more seasons like the spring, summer, and autumn. Especially going into like cold winters and things, we're storing food and saving for the future. So that's really where that comes from. But now I think if we can do it efficiently and save money and even share it as a community thing and within the family, I think that brings a new element to it. I think it's really cool. Kara and I, we collect seed and we sit down, and I get her sometimes, we sit down in front of the TV and just put it in the bowls and things like that and do that together. But my daughter, but she's losing a bit of she's not really so interested. So now I'm sitting by myself doing it, which is a bit boring. I use some of my veggies to make and can a salsa. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. I actually, I told a lie. I do make salsas with my cherry tomatoes and my basil and things like that, and sauces and stuff, and store it, but not a long-term type of thing. Here we go. Question from Rick Thalane. How fresh microbes don't live forever in packaging and store How fresh microbes don't live forever in packaging. The store-bought worm castings is the general belief. Totally agree on that. Even the stuff that you buy in the bottles and things, I don't know how they're doing it. I've spoken with one of my mates, Permy Pete. He's, really up on this stuff now. We're having a chat about it. And so what they're doing now is they're actually, like, you've got the worm casting, right? And it actually goes in a big, like a vat, and it squashes it down. Squashes it so it's not turning and bubbling and aerating and all that stuff and throwing sugar in and molasses and all that. It's just like a good quality water, and it sits at the bottom like what I do in my worm farms that I teach, right? And it flows through gently and then goes through. Now the farmers that are doing like say growing flowers and all that type of stuff, we may be going out to Pepe Fasos's place to do that. Well, I've already offered to do it, so whoever if he comes through and he said he wants to do it, we're going to build vats. And then in the vat where the liquid goes through, there's an oxygenation. So it does oxygenate to keep all those microbes and good bacteria alive. And in those bags and things, like when I was selling mine, I leave the bags open. Tell people, leave the bags open if you're not using it, because you need the oxygen to go through and the moisture and everything to keep those microbes alive. Now, when a microbe dies, it still lets off nutrient. It becomes a bit like a blood and bone in a way, as it's dying, like as things die, they all give off some type of nutrient. So, but it's just a different type of nutrient. The microbes that we're breeding and feeding and things like that, they are dying and breeding and all that. So you're feeding the plants high, but they're also helping the sugars and the photosynthesis. And that's what I'm about here in these soils here in my backyard, is building deep soils and getting the microbes, the bacteria and the fungi working for you so you don't have to just, like always be putting inputs on all the time. You want the land working for you. Think about the forest. We're not going out there throwing out NPK. We're not even going out there throwing out worm castings and things like that. So once you get to a certain element, you can actually cut back. And remember, if you're taking something away, you need to add back some way. That's the basics general to it, right? So if you keep composting on site with everything that you've got, then you are putting it back in and everything stays on site, and that's you creating that loop. So we get that in our mindset, building fresh, healthy soils as deep as possible. We keep building on top. We're digging as less as possible so we don't disturb the benefits of in the soil and the microbes and the things like that. We don't want to kill it off. When you go through now, you go through and do a deep till, you're basically just killing everything off in there, and the plants are feeding on the dead life that you've just mowed through. Now, it does work, but it only works for a certain amount of time and it goes backwards. When you're putting on top, when you're putting your inputs on top and you're feeding from the top, you're feeding the good bacteria and the soils and things like that, it gets better and better and better and better and better. And, my places over the years have proven that. If you look at my old place just before I moved, I was there for 5 years, but it took me about 2 years to get something really productive. I never dug a hole, only to put a plant in. So, and other people are doing that too. So keep your mind on how to do that properly. The mantra, feed the soil, not the plants. Excuse me, this weather outside. Give me a bit of sinus from the cold. Okay, you need a bread maker, Marty. I had one, never used it. I'm hopeless. They clearly didn't like it. Okay, I don't know why it clearly didn't like it. Maybe we're talking about something else and I've gone off track now. But anyway, the bread maker, yeah, no. I've tried it. I do make damper. I like making damper. That's something that I do enjoy doing, and it's quite simple to do. All right, so looking at my list again, we're talking about saving money, getting healthier, and it's better for the environment, building habitat. So once we get our soils going really well and our plants are growing really well, then that's when we start creating our habitat around the outside. So around the outside of my place, around the fence lines and things like that, I'm going to be putting in little bushes and little tiny trees. I don't want to block out any light from the garden. We've already got some big trees all around here and little bits of forest and stuff. So I just want those birds that are around the outside of it and the insects and everything to start coming in and creating habitat, so they can have a home. And then what we do is we slowly you get the good bugs and the bad bugs. You have them all, but you need them both, because what happens is the bad bugs are coming in and they're feeding on your plant material and stuff like that. And the carnivorous ones, which are the good ones, say like a lady beetle or, like a praying mantis, things like that. They're breeding up in their assassin bugs. They're grabbing all those other things and they're eating them. Like a lady beetle can eat something like 40 aphids in a day. It's just mental, right? So once you get that balance, then you don't have to go in with any sprays. So then your health's much better, your costs are much lower, and then when you have problems with things, you just get rid of it. Like just go, no, it's not growing. It just doesn't want to be here. Obviously doesn't like this place. It just keeps getting attacked by pests. It's gone. And eventually you fight stuff and you grow the things that are doing well and they're not producing less stress and are more productive and things for you. So remember, nothing always works. And if it's not working, just get rid of it, right? Some of us, we're relentless and we never give up and we just wonder why. So like things like fruit trees and stuff, we've got them in the backyard. Now they get attacked by scale and stuff like that. And so by bringing in and building up these sort of like habitats around the outside where the fruit trees are, we're going to have beneficial insects inside on the fruit trees and stuff, and then less problems with scale and things like that. Like there might be a praying mantis just keeping all the ants out so they're not farming the scale. All these things are sort of going on. Bread's gone up again in Sydney. Oh no. It's terrible. I had roaches in my bed. What's going on here? I got to get no negativity, guys. Let's keep it positive. Just joking. It's all a bit of fun. I haven't brought bread for 2 years. Just make my own so much better and cheaper. Hey, if you can, then do it. Well, I'm really lucky here. Like I even say I'm blessed where I am here in the Byron Shire. There is a brand of bread that is just, it's a sourdough, Sol's bread. I'm going to give them a plug. If you ever get a chance to eat Sol's bread sourdough, do it, man. I'm telling you. About $8, between $7 and $8 a loaf. And, mate, it is the bomb. So I just couldn't make a sourdough loaf like as good as that. So good. And it's really good for like this, for health benefits and things. And it's organic as well. We can't, like I said, the Byron Shire here where I live, there's a lot of good quality food, a lot of good quality produce. There's a little farm just up the road from where I live, and then on the side of the road, people pull in to buy stuff, and I'm thinking of going there and making a little video there. They've got some great companion planting going on, so could be a really good companion planting video that'd be worth looking at. And yeah, I'm definitely going to get up there and introduce myself. So yeah, building habitat was something that we just spoke about. Now I just want to come back again because people are coming in a little bit later. They missed the beginning, and I just want to let them know that we're like about this, right? This is the omelette. It's a company called Omelette. It's a little portable chicken fence. I'm trying to build, I think it's about $200. So if we can raise the money to get the new chicken fence up, I can get more productive here in the backyard, keep the girls out of the veggie garden, and keep them a bit safer and move them around. So there's a link in the chat box at the moment. There'll be one down in the description later on. So that's at my Buy Me a Coffee page for Marty's Garden. So thank you for that. And let's get back. That sounded like a sponsored ad, didn't it? I did that so well. Oh, no, I just appreciate it. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. But, if you can, I really do appreciate it, guys. Right, let's go back to the camera here. Quick little drink of Coke. Keep me pepped up. As I said, I didn't sleep so well last night. I had a bit of sleep apnea and bothers me sometimes. Anyway, let's keep going here. Look, this one. Right. Hang on. I don't want to miss anything. Dad's Amazing Adventures. He's off in Asia at the moment, man. You want to see some like good video footage of what's going on in Asia and say at planes and oh man, check it out. Dad's Amazing Adventures. It's really good stuff going on. He shoots a lot of stuff in Australia as well. Marty, hope the rain isn't washing away all the good work you're doing. God bless, my friend. Thumbs up from here. God bless to you, my friend. It's always nice to hear from you. Dad's Amazing Adventures channel. Bagula. G'day, mate. G'day. How are you, buddy? Andrew says, I met you meant your bed at the first round. I'm getting lost here. I make bread to swap for eggs. Not a bad way to go. I like the idea of swapping. There's no one else growing any stuff in my street, so I've just been giving things away. But like I said, I may, once I get back on track and I've built my soils up really good, I may start farming again here and selling again to restaurants and locals and things like that. And then maybe I'll do like a compost run once a year or something. Yeah, sleep apnea, man. It's horrible. Comes and goes. Sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's good. Last night wasn't too bad. I don't have one of those machines. I got rid of it because I don't have it real bad. So anyway, we'll keep on rolling on. So organic matter in soils is the next part. So if we keep, like by composting, worm farming, and having, if you don't have chickens, you can just worm farm and compost, and you add organic matter and keep adding it to your soils, adding carbon to your soil, such as leaf mulch and wood chip and things like that. But just be aware, like not many people teach this. They all talk about, how do you call it, mulching your soils, right? But you never hear it very rarely mentioned about putting it on and how much you put on. So once you start building your soils, you need to feed from the top, right? But some people, they just get so carried away, like, yeah, if I put heaps more on, it's going to make heaps more compost, better soils. Not always, right? We need to think about it. We've got a little layer where it's all breaking down. They call it the humus zone. And we've got our subsoils underneath. And then on top, we have our mulch. Now, when it rains, we need to have that mulch. The water's got to get through and penetrate into the humus zone and then down into the subsoil. So you're better off adding more regularly than big volumes at a time, depending on how much time you got. Because when you get a light rain, or you just go in with a hose, you want it to still penetrate through instead of just sucking in and just, so you've got, it's wet on top, and then down in the bottom inch, it's dry. It hasn't even got down to the soil down, so you could be making it worse than better. So just be aware, keep it nice, light and fluffy, add more regularly and not too thick, because when you've got light rains, you really want it getting through the soil. So keep in mind on that. Now, when you're worm farming, you want to try and put your worm farm in the right place, where if they escape, they're still going to reach in the garden and get under that mulch and things like that. I build these zones, these little highways where they can sort of move through and interconnect to each other. So one jumps out of a worm farm because they're always escaping. They can actually wriggle underneath the mulch and get to another space where they're more happy, and then breed up, and you get this volume just go out like this, you know. Anyway, let's get back into some of these compost things here. I have sleep apnea. I use a CPAP machine to get good sleep. I have heard from people that use them that they do work really well, and I will have to get one in the future because I've been told it's just going to get worse. But we'll keep rolling on. I get sourdough, olive, and rosemary from a country bakery. I could make it, but love to support them. I buy 5 loaves, get them to cut it thin and freeze use it as needed. Yeah, I'd go and buy a couple of loaves, freeze one as well, keep the other and pull it out. And yeah, it's a good concept to look at and go, yeah, I'd like to support them. I think that's really important. Michael Dvorak, hey all, first time I'm able to say g'day. I'm trying to get a chicken coop myself. Well, good luck with that, Michael. I'm sure you will get one in the near future. I quite like all of it. There's so many good chicken coops out there. But if you have, I don't know, your space and what you want to do and how many that you want to do. But, you know, there is this omelette company, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that there. Let's get this, change it over here. We'll go back to the share the screen. We can see that there. They got a little one on the top there. Omelette contacted me and asked me if I wanted some of this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with my chickens at the moment, and I didn't have, I was sort of not, no permanent place and things like that. And I just don't really want to reach out to these companies and stuff, because you just never know what their intentions are and what they want you to say and do and things. So generally, I just go out and buy my own stuff, whether it's a worm farm or whatever. And if I, sometimes I'll ask the community here for a bit of support so we can move forward a bit faster. And that way I can produce the content quicker and build out on my lifestyle here as well. So anyway, we'll keep rolling through. I am reading these other comments in here to do with CPAPs and stuff like that, but I just want to stay on focus on what we're talking about. But yeah, I reckon that could make a really good little coop, that coop. So check it out. Omelette, OMLET. They got all different types of, I think they're a UK brand, but they are here in Australia as well. And I've heard it takes 6 weeks to get the fence once you order. So hopefully we're going to get the fence. As I said, there's a link in the chat box, and there'll be one in the description later. And I've put it there on my Buy Me a Coffee page. So hopefully we'll be up and running soon and moving the girls around. The goal is to get eventually to get 15 chickens, if I think that's the way to go. For some reason in my head, the number 15 could be really good. And then we're guaranteed to get around close to 12 eggs a day. And I think I could possibly trade and swap and do different things. And that would be a dozen eggs a day nearly. So, I'm not going to eat that many. So there's got to be some type of value that will go out somewhere to someone else. I'm not sure where, but we'll find that out when the day comes if I move to that. But we got 5 now, and pretty happy with having 5 chickens currently at the moment. But look, we're taking questions now. So if you want to talk about soil building, worm farming, things like that, happy to answer them. Anything to do with homesteading, if you want to bring up a chat, talk about a subject, happy to go into that as well. Self-sufficiency, anything like along those lines. Happy to talk about. And why I'm waiting for these questions and comments and things to come through, I will talk about worm farming. But first, I'm going to have a little bit more Coca-Cola. There should be an ad on TV, Coke Adds Life. I don't know if it does that. maybe for about half an hour. That's a bit of life. But other than that, I don't think it's very good for you. Okay, so worm farming. Now, what am I doing? I'm actually like creating these little stations around the yard, and I've got one big worm farm up in the back corner now that I'm building out, mostly cow manure and cardboard. I'm feeding them at the moment, and no other scraps because it's near a rock wall, and I know there's some rats that live along the rock wall coming from the neighbour's yard, so I don't want to sort of be bringing them into the yard. I want to be keeping them out as much as possible, and so yeah, and it makes a very good cow manure makes a very good worm casting, and it's free. It's right over the back fence. I've got some cattle over the back fence. I could jump over. It's got to watch out I don't get zapped by the electric fence because it's super powerful. It's already got me once, yeah, it's pretty gnarly. And Rick here, you need to work out food costs, more chickens, more feed. But free food is the best. Yeah, look, I totally agree about that, and that is something that I am contemplating. But as I build out the space, and like more zones and things like that, I'm not worried. Like at the moment, I cut back on a bit of their food and their proteins, and just giving them more sort of some grains and letting them run around the backyard. They're still really happy, really healthy. Got a little bit stored in their gullet. I check them every day to see if they got a little bit there, and that's where they store the food in the front there. You see a little lump sometimes. So they've been pretty happy. They're getting plenty of food. We dig holes. They diving in, getting the worms and things. So, like as I'm building this space, like in a sort of permaculture garden, there's going to be a little more spiders and more worms and more centipedes and all this stuff for them to eat. And I'll be composting, and then they'll be going in and digging through the compost. So I don't think that my expenses will get much more expensive because I'm going to be doing it differently to most. I'm using more of a permaculture technique, and if for some reason they aren't laying a lot of eggs because they're not getting as much protein, then so be it. I'll just keep them working. But at the moment, I'm happy with 5. I may not extend out yet. It's just in my mind. Maybe a few years down the line, we might get more. But for now, 5 is more than enough. All right, so the worm farming and the chickens, how am I combining them together? What I'm doing is I'm actually getting the manure. So I'm putting the sugarcane or the grass bales or whatever in the area, sort of in the coop and in where they perch at night and in the nesting box and things like that. And it soaks up the manure. And then I'm throwing that into the zones where I have my worm farms, and I'm also putting it into my plastic worm farms. And I'm building, so I'm curing the bale, some straw, not straw, but sugarcane at the moment, but you can use straw or grass. And just stay away from some straw. It's got too many chemicals and nasty things in it. You gotta be careful. And then I'm sort of curing it that way, and then I'm feeding it to the worms. And so I'm grabbing all that chicken manure that's coming out, and they're also digging and dropping it on the ground and things, fertilizing and stuff, the ground. But I am soaking up as much as I can to put into the worm farms. And because the carbon material is just, from if you see the worm farm that I made, it's called, what's it called? We get the name. It's like the Taj Mahal version. You'd understand what I'm doing there. So it just soaks it up. All that carbon just soaks up all that nitrogen, and then the worms really take to it quite quickly, and they really love it. So I'm just sort of scaling up on that really. And if I do take on the composting business more, I'll just be using more carbon into the chickens, and then moving it from the chickens to the worms, and then I'm creating a product at the end. But that's something I've got to trial and do more. I have done it before. If it just gets too much, don't want to do it, to be honest. I'll just do it enough for my inputs here, and that'll keep me happy. All right, so, but yeah, good point, Rick Thulane, about the cost. We really need to look at that because you don't have the food for them. You mightn't get the egg production that you're looking for, and it all depends on what you want the chickens for. Some people just want them as pets, right? They don't care if they don't lay a lot of eggs. They just love having them around. I saw a guy the other day, they get muesli bars every afternoon. Some of these chickens, mate, they're pretty spoiled. Yogurt in the morning, muesli bars in the afternoon. Here's chickens. So how's that? All right. Schur's Wormiculture and Green Living. I've learned so much from you, Marty, over the years and put so many of your videos into practice. Well, thank you so much. And look, you're here with a, that's a great name, Schur's Vermiculture and Green Living. And, part of that is what it's all been about. It's just helping people to move forward and to put these things that I have done and practiced into place, and other people sharing. I know a lot of people say that, so stoked, always stoked to hear that. And as I'm improving, as we learn all the time, as I'm learning, I'm sharing it with you guys. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Arm Wrestling Center. Hey, Marty, I fed my worms horse manure that was 3 years old. I soaked it very well and put some worms in it. They began to move like crazy and got extremely skinny. Do you have any thoughts on why that is? I really don't know, to be honest. But I just, like really old manure wouldn't really make it. It wouldn't matter how old it is. I don't think, if it's really old and dry, it's not going to have a lot of microbial activity in it until the water gets to it and the air hits it, and then the bacteria starts breaking it down, because that's what worms are doing. They're skimming off the outside of the bacteria, the thing that's breaking down. So it's very hard to say, but I would just be more inclined to just provide like a wider array of food source, and the chicken manure is really good with a carbon, and so is cow manure. And horse, I'm not a huge fan of. If I got it, I'll use it, but it's usually full of weeds and things like that, and it doesn't have as many of the microbes as cow. But if you have it lying around, I know people use it and have used it successfully and still do. So whatever works for you, you know what I mean? Like, you go with that. Okay, they didn't like it at all. I'm assuming there was some ammonia in there, and it was potential. Yes, that could. I think you're on the money there, because a lot of manures and things, like if you get too much chicken manure and put it in a farm, and the manures thing is too much ammonia, and they just bail, man. Like, I've killed worms with too much ammonia. I admit it. I had one when I first did the biggest worm farms ever. I closed the lids and I didn't have enough air getting out. Left them, and then I come back and I had thousands just dead from the ammonia, And there's a big point. If you see them crawling to the top and all escaping and getting out, and it's not the weather and things like that, it's ammonia. So you've got to let it can be too hot, too much nitrogen. That can be a problem as well, and the release of ammonia. I think you're on the money there. For sure. Just in that case, I just find you've really got to add carbon, to these manures and things, and to nitrogens. And when you're doing that, if you go 2 carbons to 1 part nitrogen, you're generally doing pretty good. Rosemary Ryan, thanks, Marty, for how the process the eggshells some long while back. I've got lots, just wondering how often you can use the ground eggshells in soil and for worm farms. Just, you know what? I don't think you can really overdo it with eggshells, because it breaks down slowly. It's not like you're getting a whole lot of lime or a whole lot of dolomite and adding it once and just changing the pH real quickly. Eggshells is more of a slow release nutrient. And I like the idea of actually smashing a lot and putting a lot in the worm farms. More so, I'm just trying to save every eggshell that I've got now, unless I'm really in a hurry. I'm like, just bin that now. I don't have time. But generally, I get them. And then I'll just I'll wash it quickly, microwave 3 minutes, and pull it out, and it goes into the thing. I bash it a bit, break it up, and then goes into the worm farms. At the moment, I'm saving a bowl of it, and I think if we do that, it's a really good idea to put that into your compost with your tomatoes and things that need more calcium, so you don't get blossom end rot and stuff like that. So I don't think you can really overdo it too much, to be honest. You can create a thin layer or much. I think you need to really just use your intuition on it. But I'd be more inclined to adding little bits slowly over time than a big lot at one time, if you know what I mean. Like, I think you just, depending on how many worms you've got, but spread it around your garden, dig it into holes and things like that as well. And that's what I'm doing. I'm pretty much trying to not let any eggshell go into the bin unless I'm in a real hurry. That's just my honesty, you know what I mean? Like, everyone says, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but not everyone's perfect. We don't live a perfect life. Okay, so more questions. I'm going to keep firing away here. I think we've been running for 54 minutes now, and it's been great so far. having a chat with you all and catching up we're at 11:30 here, New South Wales, Sydney time. I am in the Byron Shire now and really enjoying setting up this new self-sufficiency space in my backyard. I'm becoming more self-sufficient. I know I will never become fully that way, but we're getting closer and closer to it, and saving money, getting healthier, and some people would say living the dream. I've been totally blessed with this place. This was a gift from God, this house, it really was. Okay. And it's made it possible for me to actually create this space, because 10 years ago, or was more than 10, about 13 years ago, I was like, I really want to be on internet TV and make a living. This is before YouTube was in around. Make a living having a micro farm and sharing what I'm doing. I didn't even know YouTube existed. It was just like something that was in my mind. And it's amazing how sort of, how it's come to be. True blessing. All right. Let's keep going. Thanks to help or to feel confident to use them. You're very welcome. And so the worms, right? Now, the worms play a very big role, because what we want to do is we don't always just think about compost worms. We want to think about the native worms that are in the area as well. So we've got our compost worms in the top part. They're moving around through our little highways from worm farm to worm farm. If they escape, they find a nice bit of mulch or somewhere where they can hang out. You can put traps around the place and capture them and move them around, things like that. And then what you're doing is, as the soils are improving over time and you're building, you're putting the carbon up, you're adding more, more compost and things like that. The really good worms start coming in, and so they're coming up from down below. So the difference between a compost worm, they move across the surface generally. And an earthworm will come up underneath, making his little burrow, right? So I'll use one finger, making his little burrow. He's coming up, moving through the soil profile. So he's creating an air vent for the roots to go down, for the water to go down. He comes up, he grabs a little bit of that food up the top there, goes, oh, yum, yum, yummies, and goes back down his hole, back down. He might stop about halfway maybe, drop a casting there, maybe leave a bit of carbon behind, and then go back down, and then he might hang out here, drop a bit more carbon down below or something, another casting, building a soil profile. So as we're building up our soils and getting them better and healthier all the time, they're going, this is unreal. I love being here. I'm going to breed with my friend, my hot, sexy worm who lives next door, and we're going to make more babies. And then we just, the mathematics of it all, it just starts speeding up and getting faster and faster and faster. And it's all about building our soil. So following the mantra again, feed the soil, not the plants. And then once you get a good soil, it feeds the plants and everything starts working. And we're just keeping those inputs. We're composting what we've got on site. We're feeding it to our compost worms. We're feeding to our chickens, things like that. And then we're building up these little systems. But people always forget. They go, why am I getting lots of pests? You've got to have the habitat, right? So you need to build the habitat over time slowly. You might even, if you've got a little space, you might just create a little insect hotel, put a couple of little bushes around. Like, I want to get finches in. I haven't seen any finches. I've got to put the little shrubs around for them to live. I don't know if there's even any around here, but I'd love to see them around. I've had them other places where I live, and they're just so awesome to watch. You just come out, and they come out in a little shrub and grab a little insect, and they move around. Haven't seen any willy wagtails here either. I'd love to see some more of those. Great insect catchers. So, as I'm building this habitat, more frogs will come in and different things. And, my daughter used to go out and catch praying mantises, bring them in, and we'd keep them for a little while and then release them and stuff, feed them, and all these things going on other than just ploughing ourselves to a screen. Now, I'm thankful for screens because it's a part of how I make my income, but, I think you know where I'm coming from. If we connect with the land more and we actually take care of it, and we nurture it, it really gives back a lot more than we give to it. Actually, 100 times over once we get it right. It gives back. It's just the grand design of how it works. And so, the more we give to it, more it gives back over and over and over again. So anyway, I'd love to hear from any of you guys there, what your experience with that type of thing is. How's how's it coming along for you? Have you tried building habitat and like sort of following any type of permaculture design? You know, are you just putting in there maybe a bird bath and a feeder or things like that and just bringing in nature into your life? It'd be great to hear about that before we head off. If you've got any more questions, then yeah. And please, if you can, I really need some help getting that fence from the omelette. That would be really great. Links in the description and in the chat box up above. And remember, Sunday we've got the video coming out, what's in my truck. Then we'll be filming, talking about the fruit trees, talking about what I'm feeding, you know, like the food that I'm going to go and buy, again, for the chickens, and how I'm moving them around the yard and fertilizing and, you know, building up these soil profiles and bringing in habitat. It's all going to be a part of the story. As I said, I'm not worried about this YouTube algorithm of keywords and things. A lot of the titles will see self-sufficiency, and it will be blah, 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 what I'm doing now sort of thing, you know. And I think that really is a good title because it doesn't provide any clickbait and things like that where people come in, they go, oh yeah, I want to see this. And they go, oh, that wasn't really about that. So if I talk about what I'm doing now, then it's sort of a continual update. It's not so, there's sort of vlogs, but not really. They're educational vlogs. And so hopefully you guys enjoy that content and yeah, keep coming back and devouring the pieces there, because that's what keeps the channel going. If no one's watching it, unfortunately, no income coming in for me. Greenleaf Gardening. Hey, Marty. G'day, Greenleaf. Good to see you here, mate. Yeah, so we're at a bit over an hour now. 17 people watching, 32 thumbs up. I'll go for a couple more minutes. Any more questions to go through? Other than that, what we'll do is we'll put on the theme song for the end of the show. And yeah, we will head on our way. And you can see the new show on Sunday. And who knows, I may produce another live show in the near future. Don't know when. I'm a bit sporadic with it. I've got to be in the mood and have something that I really want to talk about and discuss with you guys. So yeah, any more questions, fire away. Happy to answer them. And if you come in late, I'm just letting people know that basically that's what I'm doing now. I'm just sharing my life story and what I'm learning here and what I'm implementing here, how we're going to use the worms, the chickens together to create food here that's coming out, and fresh food as quick as possible and as efficiently as possible with as low cost as possible. And it's always great to hear from you guys in the comments as well about it. Your vids are cool, inspirational and educational. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, and I do my best to provide those three elements. So yeah, you know, and it's just me. I'm just being me. I'm being real. I'm being authentic, and that's who I am. Having a ute is advantage for 3 substances. Correct. And we've got the Marty's garden ute, as you've seen in the videos. The silver fox. Trusty is her name. Trusty the silver fox. Does a great job, mate. I think we're on about 168,000 Ks now for the old girl, which is pretty good for an old diesel ute. But fuel, man, don't get me started. It's killing us all, mate. Oh, far out. Anyway, I thought having a diesel was going to be cheaper. So Sunday, 6 p.m. Sunday, 6 a.m. I'm going to try and do a video Wednesday, 6 a.m. Sydney, Australia time, and Sunday, 6 a.m. Sydney, Australia time. And if you get to watch in the first hour, that really helps the algorithm push through. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about that, but that does help if you watch it. And the more of the video basically you watch, people sort of have been, a lot of my friends now are on YouTube saying they're watching, people are watching under 50% of their videos, and that does really hurt the channel. If we get over 50%, the videos do much better, but under 50% watch, they don't do as good. So anyway, that's sort of it. Let's get some music, some tunes on here. Favorite theme song. Love this song. And we'll play the song out. And what we do while we're doing this, if you've got something that you'd like to say goodbye to the community, you'd like to say goodbye to me, drop in the comment, and then I will put it up onto the screen. and we will go out with our theme song. Thank you so much for coming. Remember, don't say goodbye, guys. Say goodbye to your mates online, on the show, in the chat box, and to me. Put it out for sure. Yo.
In time, you know, everything we've lost comes home again, and I will grab onto your arm a little stronger than we were before. I've missed your face. Has it been that long? Looking forward to a fire and a sing-along. Let's stay the same as the children grow, and teach them all the simple things we thought we used to know. So beautiful to see how we have changed. In time, you know, everything we've lost comes home again, and I will grab onto your arm a little stronger than we were before. In a world, in a day, we are all brand new, and it's love that we're fighting for.
Love this bit.
I'm proud, you know, that we always held out hope. So if you grab onto my arm, let's take a walk until the sun gets warm. In time, you know,
That's a good song.
everything we've lost comes home again, and I will grab onto your arm a little stronger than we were before.
Wow, what a song, eh? I just love going out with that song, and I do really enjoy my time here with everyone that comes to visit when I do the lives and leaves comments and just comes and watches my videos. Thank you so much. I am always grateful. I truly am. I can't believe that Marty's Garden's been going for so long as it is now. I've even forgotten how many years we've been going, but it's been amazing. And we do have, I'm going to try every Wednesday and Sunday, depending on the weather, to get these videos out to you guys. So have a great day. Happy everything. And we'll see you at the next video live show real soon. Bye for now.